live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, I'm Wawodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, federal government assures on strict implementation of Orosaye report on civil service reforms, but yet to give deadline on execution. Edo State government celebrates over 3 decades of existence with the launch of a new master plan as a further guide for the state. ECOWAS presents a 5-year strategic plan to rejuvenate the region's Peace Fund through resource mobilization for capacity development on the sub-regional bloc. And West Africa Container Terminal launches its Lekki feeder service from Lagos to Onne Port to enhance customer service and improve its revenue.
On business news, Federal Inland Revenue Service establishes 12-member anti-corruption unit to promote transparency and accountability within the agency.
On sports news tonight, coach Bruno Labbadia becomes the 6th German to coach 3-time African champions, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, following the announcement by the Nigeria Football Federations.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, insecurity remains a challenge in Nasarawa State as gunmen kill 1 person and abduct 2 others in Gadabuke community of Toto local government area.
And in international news from London, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky says Kyiv will respond for this and all other attacks after Russia launched another wave of strikes on Ukraine.
The Chief of Staff to President, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, has announced that all the necessary modifications to ensure a smooth implementation of the Stephen Orosaye's report are being worked out. He, however, notes that it is not certain when the federal government will begin the implementation of that report. Mr. Gbajabiamila made the clarification after concluding a working visit to the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative in the nation's capital, Abuja. While the report recommends the reduction of statutory agencies from 263 to 161, as well as the abolition of 38 agencies, the merger of 52, and the reversion of 14 to departments and ministries. Our correspondent, Kumbi Aboluwade, reports.
The Chief of Staff to the President arrives at the conference room of the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative as part of his visit to government agencies under the presidency. He's here to assess and monitor the work of the agency, and the Executive Secretary of NAITI informs him of the challenges the agency faces, including funding.
Your Excellency, since our inception, NAITI has made the extractive industry increasingly more open for public scrutiny to build transparent and accountable sector. Our interventions have led to legislations and recovery of revenues to the tune of over $7.2 billion.
The Chief of Staff responds to the challenges raised by the agency.
You've talked about funding, which obviously is a perennial, constant problem. But we're hopeful that moving forward, we'll collaborate, a lot closer, work more directly with you, and be able to address that particular challenge.
Mr. Gbajabiamila also speaks on the delay in the implementation of the Steve Orosaye report.
Orosaye's report is being worked upon. Yes, we've been talking about this for months now, but anything worth doing is worth doing properly. It's not as easy as it sounds. A committee has been set up looking at it, and I'm sure very soon the full final report will be out and implementation will begin.
How soon are we looking at?
Well, I can't give you an exact timeline, but soon cannot be soon enough. I know that everybody's anxious, but like I said, we don't want to sacrifice thoroughness on the altar of anxiety or anxiousness of getting things done. It will be done soon.
NAITI is one of the agencies recommended by the report to be scrapped. However, the agency is considered central to ensuring transparency in the nation's extractive industry. Kumbi Aboluwade, Channels Television News.
President Bola Tinubu is set to visit China in the first week of September. Disclosing this to State House correspondents, the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajurin Gelale, said the president will meet with President Xi Jinping and several memorandum of understanding and agreements will be signed. He says the president will also attend the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation Summit, where he will represent ECOWAS and discuss regional peace and security.
His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will depart for the People's Republic of China, most specifically Beijing, from the nation's capital within the first week of September to engage in a series of meetings and activities with immediate and future benefit to the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian people. First and foremost, His Excellency Mr. President will conduct site visits to two major Chinese corporations, Huawei Technologies, as well as the China Rail and Construction Corporation, CRCC. This is with a view to achieve one of Mr. President's top agenda items, which is the completion of the Ibadan to Abuja segment of the Lagos to Kano high-speed rail line. Mr. President will also meet with his Chinese counterpart in the person of President Xi Jinping, where several MOUs will be signed. His Excellency, Mr. President, would thereafter join the FOCAC summit, where several African heads of state will be present to engage with Chinese leaders on various important matters. At this FOCAC summit, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his capacity as the chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, will deliver remarks on behalf of the region.
The National Working Committee of the Labour Party has vowed to discipline any member of the party that disrespects the party's constitution and its leadership. Addressing a news conference against the backdrop of a recent engagement with Governor Alex Otti of Abia State, the national chairman of the party, Mr. Julius Abure, insists that the Labour Party has no leadership vacuum and therefore faults the governor's plan to convene a national congress to set up a caretaker committee. Mr. Abure maintains that the party will discipline any member who disrespects the party's constitution and its leadership, no matter how highly placed the person may be.
The national leadership hereby states unequivocally that there is no vacuum in the leadership of the party. B, conscious of the fact that the tenure of the executives was to last till June 2024. The national convention of the party was held in March 27, 2024 at Nnewi, Anambra State. The National Working Committee also notes that, assuming without conceding that the tenure of the current National Working Committee has even expired, we must state clearly that it is not the responsibility of Dr. Alex Otti as governor of Abia State to convene a NEC meeting for the purposes of setting up a caretaker committee. The National Working Committee of the Labour Party urges all members of the party to play by the rules, pay respect to the national leadership of the party. The party will not hesitate henceforth to discipline any member of the party, however highly placed, who is not ready to obey the constitution of the party and indeed obey the lawful directive of the leadership of the party.
ECOWAS has presented a 5-year strategic plan to rejuvenate the region's Peace Fund through resource mobilization for capacity development of the regional bloc. The ECOWAS Peace Fund is an instrument for supporting the implementation of conflict prevention, management, resolution, peacekeeping, and security in the region. At a joint consultation meeting, the ECOWAS Peace Fund manager, Mr. Diodone Nkeme, emphasized that the streamlined coordination of donor-funded projects in the peace and security sector will foster an enabling environment for peace and security in the West African region.
The event of today is really what we call the joint strategic consultation on the ECOWAS Peace Fund. As you know, the ECOWAS head of states have set up this instrument since the year 2003. And along the line, it gets structured. It has have some impact support to the promotion of ECOWAS peace and security agenda in the region. And as a living body, it has to address some challenges because our region itself is facing different challenges. So the purpose of this meeting that is gathering us for 3 days is to get all the stakeholders so that together they can see what is the best structure we can have for the Peace Fund in order for it to be fit for purpose, in order for it to become very strong, enabled to mobilize more resources and also to manage resources for the well-being of the ECOWAS communities along all the 15 member countries. So we have here a representative from ECOWAS Commission, from ECOWAS specialized agencies, from development partners, and it is really a good time for us to reflect together and see how we can cross-fertilize our ideas to make it very strong and to respond to the needs of our different communities.
As part of efforts to improve service to customers and reduce the clearing time in goods at the ports, the West African Container Terminal WACT has now launched its Lekki feeder service from Lagos to Onne Port. According to the head of operations of WACT, it is designed to generate more revenue for the company and the federal government, as well as improve case of movement of goods into the southeast and beyond.
It's a busy day at the quay side of the Federal Ocean Terminal of the Onne Port, River State, as the West African Container Terminal are set to receive something significant. It's the launch of their Lekki feeder vessel service, designed to move container goods from Lagos to Onne Port. The company's head of operations explains why this is a major milestone for it.
Today is the first call of what we call the Lekki feeder. It is that feeder vessel that you can see just behind me, which is bringing cargo from Lekki, Lagos, to us here in Onne. It is the very first time it's happening, and it is actually a historical moment for all of us. Big deal, because it is more moves, more revenue for WACT, but more revenue for the federal government as well, and also for the Onne Command. Instead of going to Lekki, it could come here just to get his cargo. But also, instead of waiting for that cargo to be moved from Lekki to Port Harcourt or to the eastern parts, taking days and weeks, would have it quickly here from WACT.
Weighing in on the discourse, the parent company of the West Africa Container Terminal explains how the company's clients can benefit from this development.
The excitement is not just because this is happening, but because we are a company, we strive to give the best to our customers. And the excitement is because we know that we're going to meet the needs of our customers. And at the end of the day, our customers will be happy. And in line with the government's drive to promote import and export, this also will help to generate revenue, not only for us, but for the government.
It further assures of the company's commitment to keep it running, while listing some of their other endeavors at the country's various ports.
Currently, you rightly mentioned the Ibeto project, which is ongoing. This Lekki feeder is another milestone, and we are in view of the Calabar feeder, the Calabar barge, which will soon start, and we are exploring other opportunities. And the goal of it is that we can run into our full capacity and potential. So the goal is so that we can arrive at where we want to be.
This move by the West Africa Container Terminal is coming on the heels of their launch of the barging operations between the companies on a port terminal and a better facility at the Port Harcourt port, and they are assuring that there will be a lot more innovation by the company.
In part two, after the break, the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council releases its 2024 half-year compliance report showcasing the performance of ministries, departments, and agencies in delivering transparent and efficient services to the Nigerian business community. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, reaching you live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Federal government assures on strict implementation of Orosai report on civil service reforms. Edo State government celebrates over 3 decades of existence with the launch of a new master plan for the state. ECOWAS presents a 5-year strategic plan to rejuvenate the region's Peace Fund. And West Africa Container Terminal launches its Lekki feeder service from Lagos to On Airport to enhance customer services. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Kiev will respond to Russia for this and all other attacks after Russia launched another wave of strikes on Ukraine. The Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PBC, has released its 2024 half-year compliance report showcasing the performance of ministries, departments, and agencies in delivering transparent and efficient services to the Nigerian business community. The report was presented by the Special Advisor to the President on PBC and Investment, Mrs. Jumoke Oduwole, in Abuja. That report highlights significant improvements in service delivery and areas requiring urgent attention by government agencies involved in improving the business environment in Nigeria. The report also reveals a positive trend with a substantial increase in agencies scoring above 50% in efficiency compliance. Despite the progress made, Mrs. Oduwole emphasizes the need for government agencies to enhance their service delivery to boost Nigeria's business environment and productivity and competitiveness.
It is noteworthy that the number of MDAs that scored over 50% in their efficiency compliance increased from 8 MDAs in 2023 half-year report to 20 MDAs in the 2024 half-year report. And I think our MDAs certainly deserve a round of applause. While significant improvement has been made by the MDAs, this 2024 half-year report spotlights the urgent need for MDAs to strengthen their efforts on high-quality service delivery to rapidly improve the productivity and competitiveness of Nigeria's business environment. A key learning from this year's half-year report shows that the inaugural 90-day regulatory reform accelerator of this administration, which commenced on February 20, 2024, played a critical role in driving the performance of MDAs in the half-year compliance report. However, a key observation was that MDAs that showed consistency with the monthly transparency and efficiency report submission were better able to deliver on the regulatory reform accelerator, and vice versa.
We still have more for you on the news at 10 as we head over to Abuja studios where Victoria Longjohn is standing by. Hello, Victoria.
Hello, Anne. The President Bola Tinubu administration's commitment to growing small and medium-scale enterprises to revamp Nigeria's economy is not mere rhetoric, as it is committed to its campaign promises to boost the business climate. Now, this is according to the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Mr. Ibrahim Hadeja, who represented the Vice President today at the commissioning of the Benue Fashion Hub. Governor Hyacinth Eleya, who lauded the federal government for donating computers to the facility, also reiterated his commitment to good governance in the state.
State-of-the-art Benue Fashion Hub, fitted with over 100 assorted machineries and computers, which are meant to revolutionize the rich Benue fashion industry, is all set for commissioning. Dignitaries and government officials converge on the location in Makurdi, the Benue State capital, as Governor Hyacinth Eleya arrives in company of the representative of the Vice President, Mr. Ibrahim Hadeja. They're welcomed by the colorful Benue State-of-Art Council, with this beautiful performance to herald the event. The special advisor to Governor Alia on special duties and intergovernmental affairs explains how Benue Fashion Hub came to be, with the senior special assistant to the president on MSME providing details of the Bola Tinubu administration's agenda on business growth.
I am thrilled to see the realization of a dream that began in January 2024 when we hosted the MSME clinics here in Makurdi and keyed into the renewed hope of His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The Vice President's pronouncement for the establishment of a fashion hub in Makurdi sparked a chain of events that have led to this moment.
In this current administration, we have commissioned 5 projects. There are 8 that are ongoing. Those 8 of them will be commissioned before the end of this year. I stand here as the foot soldier of this project to tell you that this is the biggest in the entire country.
The Minister of Trade and Investment, on her part, lauds the efforts of the president to give access to legitimate livelihood to Nigerians, just as Governor Hyacinth Alia appeals for more interventions to help scale up the Benue business environment.
It is with profound humility that I extend my appreciation to your office, to the SSA on job creation and entrepreneurship, for his exemplary and for your exemplary determination and leadership, for your commitment to the development of the Nigerian economy as displayed in this particular event that we have come.
Your Excellency, sir, as you commission this facility today, I am confident that it will serve as catalysts for growth and development. However, Your Excellency, we seek to use this opportunity to ask for more. Hence, we are requesting for the supply of additional machines, especially the monogram and other specialized machines for garment making.
The representative of the Vice President says the commissioning of the Fashion Hub is a testament to the current administration's commitment to the Nigerian economy.
The Benue Fashion and ICT Hub, along with other hubs and shared facilities established across the nation, represents a federal government intervention designed to foster a conducive business and regulatory environment for MSMEs in Nigeria to thrive and prosper.
He then commissions the Benue Fashion Hub with a tour of the facilities before leaving for the Benue Publishing and Printing Company to commission the facility where all government printing projects are now being done.
Gunmen have killed 1 person and abducted 2 others in Gadabuke community of Toto local government area of Nasarawa State. Confirming the incident to Channels Television, the Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Rahman Nansel, says gunmen invaded the residence of a man known as Agaba Yakubu and in the process shot a man identified as Yakubu Garuba and abducted 2 others on Monday morning. DSP Nansel says the Divisional Police Command has recovered the corpse, which was later released to the family based on request for burial according to Islamic rites, while a team of operatives have launched a search operation to rescue the victims and also arrest the suspects. As Edo State marks its 33rd anniversary, Governor Gordon Obaseki says he is praying for a continued progress and development in the state, as well as a smooth transition to the next administration. Mr. Obaseki was speaking at a Thanksgiving service at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City, the Edo State capital, which is the first event in the week-long activities lined up to celebrate 33 years of Edo State since August 27, 1991. He charged the administration on November 12, 2024, to sustain the gains of the present administration over the last 8 years.
Present and past leaders of Edo State are joined by invited guests to celebrate its 33rd anniversary. The glory of a new Edo nation is the motivation behind this event, the launch of the physical master plans for Edo State to chart the course for regional planning and urban development.
So here, sit back,
have fun today, and let us get to Edo of our dreams.
An overview of the master plans is presented to the audience in this documentary.
These plans, developed through extensive stakeholders' engagement, aimed at transforming Edo State into a hub of innovation and economic vitality.
The plenary features a discussion on implementation of the master plans from past to future.
The Edo people, as you well know, have been planners from time immemorial. When the Portuguese came here in the 15th century, they saw the streets of Benin. The main streets of Benin were paved and well policed. Even those of us living now attest to the greatness of our forebears, who, without mechanical diggers, created the Benin moat, which is still a wonder to the nations of the world today.
The major difference between this plan and what we've always had is the engagement, the level of engagement to ensure that this plan will be owned by the people. So people, everybody across Edo State will feel like this is my thing and I need to protect it.
The venue of this event, the Victor Waifo Creative Hub, is part of the new Edo State master plans. Governor Godwin Obaseki says the master plans are already active, so subsequent administrations will continue with its implementation.
We cannot run away from the facts of tomorrow. But because we don't put that in our consciousness, we therefore don't think seriously and hard enough on how we will live tomorrow when it comes. So this plan for us is to help us begin a culture or reenact that culture, that thing in our DNA which we've had for centuries of planning. We have always planned and taken our future in our hands. We've taken our destiny in our hands as Edo people throughout our history. And today, it would not be different, because the same people who built the boats, the same people who created the works that the world, has adorned the world today, are the same people who live here as we speak.
The present administration in Edo State will be coming to an end on November 12, 2024. And for Governor Obaseki, the Edo Master Plans will be one of the most important handover notes.
Now, still ahead on the news at 10, Federal Inland Revenue Service establishes 12-member anti-corruption unit to promote transparency and accountability within the agency. That's in business news. Join us again. Welcome back to the news at 10. Anambra State also marks 33 years since its creation, and the governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, has celebrated with indigents both home and in the diaspora. The governor, who held a press conference at the Governor's Lodge in Amobia to mark the event, disclosed that the economy, education, health, and other sectors in the state are thriving, as the state has the lowest number of out-of-school children. Professor Soludo also announced the state's readiness to tackle the current environmental challenges, especially flooding.
That the report in Daily Trust about Anambra planning to borrow 245 billion naira to fund its 2024 budget is fake news. It's fake news. I don't know where they got that. Try to find out from the rest of my government and where this is coming from and who said that, and if there is any such plan that I am not aware of, then it is certainly fake news. I don't know what that is. So borrowing in itself is not a bad idea. Every major company that has ever developed and then grown big lives on some form of debt or the other. But this administration, under my watch, we have a particular view about borrowing, and we have very narrow, stringent criteria for borrowing. We have been working on projects and programs that will be bankable. We are insisting that we borrow for bankable projects, for projects that will have the probability and possibility of generating the returns to pay back the debt. That is, we're not borrowing for consumption. We're not borrowing for anything else, and so on and so on. I mean, we borrow to create, to add to value.
And that's it from Abuja. It's now back to you, Anne, for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Victoria. The Emeka Anyoko-led group of eminent Nigerians, popularly known as the Patriots, has inaugurated an advocacy committee to kickstart a nationwide mobilization towards the actualization of its calls for a new democratic people's constitution. The 17-member committee will be led by a political economist and professor of strategy and development, Anthony Killer. Other members include Senator Shehu Sani, Dr. Bilikisu Magoro, Deacon Chris Ewoaye, Alhaji Shatima Yarima, Mr. Samson Itodo, among other personalities across Nigeria's geopolitical zone. Chief Anyoko, who is the former Secretary General of the Commonwealth of Nations and leader of the Patriots, says the current constitution impedes development.
The country, the area of internal security is underperforming. There is insecurity resulting from the activities of kidnappers, bandits, so-called unknown gunmen. There is the underperformance in the economic area, resulting in massive poverty in the country and hunger, resulting in Nigeria having taken the place of India as the poverty capital of the world. And there is the underperformance in the social areas, in our education and health facilities. And indeed, the situation of our country now is driving the young people and even some professionals to japa, as the word has been coined, which means wanting to seek greener pastures outside the country. We believe that these challenges can be more effectively dealt with a federal, truly federal constitution. Yes. So I think if there are any questions...
The Patriots recently visited President Bola Tinubu, making a case for the People's Democratic Constitution, and this meeting is a follow-up to that effort.
I believe that if you send the best leaders in the world to Nigeria to govern Nigeria under the present constitution, they would not succeed because of the nature of the constitution. The constitution we have now impedes development of the country because the federating units are not viable enough.
As part of efforts to mitigate the spread of Mpox, the United States Agency for International Development has donated the first batch of 10,000 Mpox vaccine to Nigeria. Addressing journalists during the official handover ceremony, the Director General of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Muyi Aina, says the distribution of the vaccine will commence immediately and priority will be given to states with the highest case and frontline workers. Our correspondent Victoria Longjohn reports.
To convey these 10,000.
It's the official handover of the first batch of 10,000 doses of the Mpox Jynneos vaccine donated by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, a significant milestone in Nigeria's efforts to combat Mpox. The Jynneos vaccine is approved by the United States Food and Drug Administration for the prevention of smallpox and Mpox in adults aged 18 years and older who are at risk of Mpox infection. The event is witnessed by the management of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, representatives of the U.S. government, the World Health Organization, and other stakeholders. The donation of 10,000 doses to Nigeria is considered timely as the nation improves on its efforts to curb the spread of Mpox, which has so far claimed 517 lives across 13 African countries.
This will go a long way to help those who are in need, because monkeypox is not something that we want to have in this country. We all know how large our population is, and we need to ensure that we meet every disease in the board, especially those that have to do with public health concerns.
Frontline workers in states with highest cases will be given priority attention when the vaccination commences.
What we are going to be doing with that is to prioritize where we deploy them based on where the need and the impact will be greatest. Because of the nature of the virus and how it is transmitted, it is through contact and exposure to sick people. We believe our frontline health workers are at particular risk. We are also going to prioritize states that have had the highest number of cases. Many of them are in the south, but of course we're going to have to work with the states to develop state-specific plans, to make sure that the vaccine is appropriately deployed.
We will continue to work with Nigeria on efforts to stop the spread of the monkeypox illness, and we will continue to look at how we can help Nigeria.
So far, Nigeria has recorded 40 confirmed cases of Mpox across 33 states of the Federation with 0 deaths. From Abuja, Victoria Long John for Channels Television News.
The Lagos State government has announced that there is no active case of Mpox in the state, but is concerned about the air, sea, and border travelers who may bring the disease into the state. And that's according to the State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, who made the comments during the Lagos press conference today. He says that aside the body contact transmission, sexual transmission is also on the rise, with the Clade 1B variants already spreading in Central Africa.
Lagos does not have any active Mpox cases at the moment. We are not concerned about the local Mpox strain. We are rather more concerned about the new mutation in Central Africa that is causing some problem there. We are concerned that there is a possibility that this new strain, Clade 1B, may find its way into Lagos by virtue of the multiple airline links between Lagos, Rwanda, Kenya, Ethiopia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. We have a lot of trading links with these countries. Nigerians go back and forth. Citizens of these countries come into Lagos. And so there is a real risk that we may create an opportunity for this new mutant of Mpox to actually enter Lagos State. And so we are proactively preparing to ensure that we have the right ability to recognize it, the correct ability to diagnose it, the correct ability to speciate it, in other words, to distinguish the various mutants of Mpox, either Clade 2A, Clade 1A, or Clade 1B, and the correct environment to manage it and treat it. At the same time, we will be preparing our residents through a massive public health campaign so that they can recognize the risk associated with contracting Mpox, the risk associated with transmitting it, and the ability to recognize it if it should show up in your vicinity.
From health, we turn our attention to business. Dominic Iwewu is standing by.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Anne. On business news, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has established a 12-member anti-corruption and transparency unit to promote accountability within the agency. The unit, inaugurated by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, is tasked with ensuring zero tolerance for corruption in tax collection. The FIRS chairman, Zach Adedeji, through his representative, emphasizes that their role is crucial in maintaining public trust in the tax system. The ICPC has pledged its support to the FIRS Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit, highlighting the unit's responsibility to monitor and improve the agency's processes and ensuring ethical conduct across all operations. Well, the domestic stock market sustained positive sentiments recorded on Monday, gaining over 270 billion naira in market value in today's trading session. Ini John Mekwa tells us more.
Thank you so much, Dominic. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report, or rather, I'll say, welcome to another green trade at the NGX. For the second trading day of the week, we say it's still green. The Fugas drove it today, and so we see from FBN Holdings almost 10%, which is the max any stock can go. UBA also 0.45%. Green, GT Co green, Access Co green, and Zenith Bank, after a few sessions of unmovement and still in the market, we see Zenith Bank moved positively today. So they drove the market. Now let's look at the sectors that will tell us more. We see banking was up 1.45%. Obviously, the Fugas are to be congratulated for this. Consumer goods is also up. We see Honeywell Flour and International Breweries. Now the star of this moment seems to be oil and gas. They've been doing so well. Owando and Japogo, now they've been joined by Tana Oil and Total. When it was happening in that counter, 4.14% up is what we see. At the close of trade, 272 billion naira was added to the market cap. And though we are not back on the 56 trillion naira, but we are 55.437 trillion naira after the market gained 0.49%. And the bull won again today.
Let's get a snapshot of closing numbers for other major global equities.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Dominic. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says the troops' incursion into Russia's Kursk region is part of the victory plan that he will present to U.S. President Joe Biden next month. Here's Simon Pizzi with other international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Kyiv will respond to Russia for this and all other attacks after Russia launched another wave of strikes on Ukraine. At least 4 people were killed overnight, and Ukraine's air defense forces say the entire country is under threat of a ballistic weapon attack. It comes a day after one of its biggest air attacks of the war. On Monday, 7 people were killed and dozens more injured after more than half of Ukraine's regions were attacked by drones and missiles. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has said that big polluters have a clear responsibility to cut emissions or risk a worldwide catastrophe. The Pacific is today the most vulnerable area of the world, he told the Pacific Island Forum leaders meeting in Tonga. But eventually the surging seas are coming for us all, he warned in a speech at the forum, as the UN releases 2 separate reports on rising sea levels and how they threaten Pacific Island nations.
The world must look to the Pacific and listen to science. This is a crazy situation. Rising seas are a crisis entirely of humanity's making. A crisis that will soon swell to an almost unimaginable scale with no lifeboat to take us back to safety. But if we save the Pacific, we also save ourselves.
The US soldier Travis King, who fled from South to North Korea before returning home, will plead guilty to desertion and other charges, that's according to his lawyer. The Army filed 14 charges against Mr. King for the illegal crossing in July 2023. He plans to enter a guilty plea to 5 charges, including desertion and assault, as part of a plea deal. His plea and sentencing hearing will take place on the 20th of September at a military base in Fort Bliss in Texas. Japan has accused a Chinese spy plane of breaching its airspace in what would be the first known instance of such a direct violation. Here, a photo of the Chinese Y-9 surveillance plane, supposedly violating the territorial airspace of Danzhou Islands on Monday. Japan's chief cabinet secretary called the breach utterly unacceptable. In a press conference, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jiang said China had no intention of invading the airspace of any country. The incident comes as tensions rise in the region where China competes for influence against the US and its allies, including Japan. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom has warned that October's budget is going to be painful in a speech in Downing Street. Sir Keir Starmer said the Labour government had not just inherited an economic black hole, but a societal black hole as well, and that tough decisions would have to be made when the budget is announced.
Morning.
The Conservative opposition party said the speech is an attempt to distract the public from the promises Mr. Starmer made that he never had any intention of keeping.
Now, next week, Parliament returns. The business of politics will resume. But it won't be business as usual, because we can't go on like this anymore. Things will have to be done differently. We will do the hard work to root out 14 years of rot, reverse a decade of decline, and fix the foundation.
And 15 years after an infamous backstage fight split the band up in Paris, Oasis have announced they're getting back together for a tour next year. This teaser appeared on the band's X account. 11 seconds long, the clip shows the date, 27th of August 2024, before flickering to 8 a.m., all in the font of the style of the band's famous logo. Meanwhile, Liam posted on X the cryptic, "I never did like that word former." At 8 a.m. this morning, it was revealed the band were reuniting for what they called a world tour in 2025. Tour dates in Cardiff, Manchester, London, Edinburgh and Dublin will take place between the 4th of July and the 17th of August next year. It's been 15 years since the brothers played their last gig together, having broken up after a fight in Paris. Oasis are one of the best-selling bands in British history. For many, they're the band that defined the 90s and changed the face of rock and roll. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The Nigeria Football Federation has appointed German Bruno Labbadia as Super Eagles' new head coach. The 58-year-old, whose appointment is with immediate effect, will lead 3-time African champions in next month's AFCON qualifiers against Benin Republic and Rwanda.
The wait for a new head coach for the Super Eagles has finally ended after the Nigeria Football Federation confirmed German Bruno Labbadia as new manager of the country's senior men's national team. This comes after former Nigeria international Finidi George left the role following Super Eagles' unimpressive performances against South Africa and Benin Republic in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers in June. Labadia has previously managed a host of German Bundesliga sides like Hertha Berlin, Stuttgart, Wolfsburg, Hamburg, and Bayer Leverkusen. His last 3 roles for Wolfsburg, Hertha Berlin, and Stuttgart aren't rosy, as he was sacked by all 3 clubs for poor run of results. However, he boasts of an unenviable managerial scorecard of 214 wins, 103 draws, and 170 losses, which amounts to 43.94% win ratio. The 58-year-old becomes the 6th German to coach the Super Eagles after Karl-Heinz Morawski, Gottlieb Goller, Manfred Horne, Betty Vos, and Gernot Roy. Labadia will begin his stint with the 3-time African champions in next year's Africa Cup of Nations qualifying matches against Benin Republic on September 7 in Uyo and Rwanda on September 10th in Kigali.
Bayern Munich and England striker Harry Kane has received the Golden Shoe Award as the highest goal scorer in the European Football League at a ceremony in the Bavarian capital earlier today. Kane scored 36 goals during the previous Bundesliga season, more than any other player in Europe. And that's it on sport. It's back to you, Anne.
Main news again. The federal government today assured on the strict implementation of Steve Orosai report on civil service reforms, but is yet to give deadline on its execution. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Good night.